Well, boy, it may be Friday the 13th, but I feel so lucky to be in this absolutely magnificent garden, Hollister House, in a portion of Connecticut where it just seems like it's gardening heaven. And not only is it magnificent, but for me, there's so many things that I'm not familiar with. And so it's so fun to look through the lens of a different zone and different plant material and a different kind of artistry than I can capture where I garden. So just look at this. This is just one little space right here. I'm gonna get out of the way and let Stuart show you this charming little parterre garden with a dwarf boxwood and these absolutely wonderful Gallica roses. But I also want you to really take note of that gorgeous heuchera in that pot right there, because that also sets the tone for a lot of what we're going to see. And then this incredible variegated dogwood. And every vista is more impressive than the next. But boy, if you think this is wonderful, if you think this is charming, then just turn around and behold, and behold. It is just a marvel, just a tapestry of so many different leaf sizes, leaf shapes. Some are glossy, some are matte. There's epimediums in here, pachysandra, every kind of fern imaginable. Later, she said there'll be plectranthus in here. There's hosta. It is just absolutely beautiful and intentional yet chaotic, and it's lovely. And then you come down on these stone steps and you just kind of work your way down here and you see the magnificence of something that I think is very characteristic of this garden and what the owner George discovered when he traveled Europe and, you know, went to Great Dixter and Sissinghurst, places like that. And that's that juxtaposition of the architecture of the different clipped box, the strong forms of some of the clipped yew and things, but then just the rowdiness and the ebullience of everything that is not structural. So there's just that, it's just beauty contained. It's chaos contained. It's ordered, but it's soft and romantic. And brilliantly placed focal points. Like over here, there's a gorgeous bench. The clipped straight lines of some of the clipped boxwood, but then the mounded orbs of the boxwood. And this just rhythm and repetition of this purple color as it drifts not only through the compartments of the clipped box, but then it's repeated. Well, you know what? We'll show you that when we come back. Okay, well, I'm going to come back and stroll this property with my friend John, but I did want you to get kind of an overview of how things fit together. And if you think this is a marvel, and it's, by the way, it's all hidden until you come in the entrance and you turn the corner and look right here. Look down here into this pool, fountain, water garden area where those same colors are repeated. A beautiful, beautiful use of variegation and that purple color and wonderful color echoes in both flower and in leaf. I see over here as we walk this way, smoke tree over here. And look who I encountered down here. It's my friend John, who's just, I don't, you're just a wonder. You orchestrated all of this. He knows everyone, by the way.
By accident.
And because you have a love of gardening, and this is just, wow, this is a magical property, and it is open to the public, and we will, of course, post the hours, how you get tickets, what month you might want to be here, depending on what's going on.
Summer's magic. It really is in this area.
When was the first time you came here?
I've been coming here for about 5 or 6 years. I had lived in the area for a while, and one day I came across the Garden Conservancy open days, and I've probably frequented about twice a season every year. I just make sure to come in at the very beginning. I had a really beautiful experience here in April one time, where the deciduous trees, nothing had actually leafed out yet, and I could only see the structure. And it really gave me an appreciation for what you see now. Like it really makes a big difference to kind of see how they navigate and the architecture first, you know?
And I think it's, if you, and this is an idea, if you embrace a garden that you just love, come back and visit it in every season. If possible, come back and visit it in every season, because it's a completely transformational experience every time you come. But gosh, Krista, the head gardener, talk about lucky. Yeah. She can see that transition on a daily basis, on an hourly basis, as the light changes, as something that was just bud.
As the wind blows.
As the wind blows, as it comes into bloom. It's not fair.
No, it's not.
No, it's not fair. But oh my goodness, what a gift for him to share this with us. Yeah. And not just the vision of the garden and how it relates to the home, but the vision of its stewardship down the line with the Garden Conservancy and saving this beautiful garden for posterity. So let's just start in a spot.
Well, do you know what I thought would be great is I found Spirea magic is what I said.
Okay, then let's just we'll take a break right here, and we'll go down and you define Spirea magic for us. Yes. I now know what Spirea magic is. Okay, we're gonna start calling that a thing.
Yeah.
Because this is our first of many try this at homes.
Yeah.
Because this is spectacular. You want to talk about it?
Well, for me, I've always seen Spirea as a statement piece. I've never seen it tucked away in little corners and accenting and really sinking the stone into the ground. I've never seen it used this way.
And almost like a ground cover, almost like, you have the creeping ivy and things, and then we need to ask Krista, how did she get this effect? Did it self-seed in there? Did she, and does she have to clip it really hard initially to keep it so low? But what gets me is it's already blooming.
Yeah, no.
It's already blooming. So how she gets this effect is truly...
It almost has a slight cloud and ground cover effect.
And is it lime mound spirea, do you think?
I believe it is. Yeah, I think it's definitely Japanese Spirea.
Just wonderful. And look at this color echo up here. Just brilliant. And then this is what happens when you don't reduce it down to this kind of diminutive little form crawling along the steps. This is what I think its natural habitat is. So we need to find out. This is a question, are these two different cultivars? But look at the echo of the pink in the blooms with the pink in the leaves. And that is just, and I'm not familiar with what that is. Is that a cornice? I don't know, but look at the archway. So very, very much. Okay, John, if you were going to name this room, what would you name this room?
That's a tough one. It'd have to be Spirea forward.
Yes, it would have. Yeah.
Yeah, no, this is definitely. I would definitely call this a summer garden for sure.
Yeah.
This is every summer classic plant that you would.
Summer Spirea.
Yeah.
And look at, oh my gosh, talk about another try this at home. You guys are going to want to screenshot this because look at this composition of this deep, deep, almost a chocolate sun coleus. And how do have you noticed, John, nothing has a slug or snail bite in it.
That's
not fair.
My mind. I know. That's the first thing I treat for every season.
And look at this.
Season.
And I am not a huge fan of sweet potato vine, but look here in this composition with these grays.
We have a little friend right here. Stuart.
This is.
No, it is, and I've really fallen in love recently with these more burgundy plum
colors, and
yes.
and it has more fine toothing
yes.
to it. But
instead of the heart shape or tear shape.
Instead of the
yes.
heart shape, but this gray and purple
this is a
combo.
chicory here. I think, I'm not sure.
Or it looks like a kind of an oregano, Cuban oregano. And we've got some astilbe over here. And then, okay, so this is something to come, planning for now, but planning for the future. And she's got red petunias in here.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, there it is.
Okay, so interesting. I would not, that's unexpected, but I bet it'll be magnificent. So this combination in here, it looks like there's some artemisias, coleus, ipomoea, astilbe, but this is an absolutely fabulous composition. And then at the base, and this is the effect I love, it just like flows out. It's just like nature had to do its thing.
Yeah.
And it just spills out and over the edge. And by the way, this is in some kind of mammoth copper pot, which even empty would be a focal point.
Beautiful, yeah. And what I love about this is the kind of planting that you could create it and just leave it, and the more wild it gets, the more beautiful it gets. And you don't have to tend to it in that way, in any,
And if one thing kind of thugs out the other thing, you just take clippings of all this and you start another pot because all of this roots so easily.
Yeah.
But this is also why I am concentrating on this so much. This would do in the South. I mean,
it would.
You could grow this in Texas,
yes.
John. You could grow this in Texas. You could recreate this in Texas. And then the other thing down here that I've noticed is, I think a signature touch or a signature plant is not only the unique use of Spirea, but tiny little cotoneasters everywhere, just in the most unusual places.
Filling in the little gaps everywhere.
Oh my gosh, look at these poppies. Well, let's take a break here and go from the Spirea room.
We'll go to the
what
I call the long fountain, and it's actually great and full of surprises.
And look at all the thyme in here, blooming in the same color as the Spirea. Oh yes.
So this
is one of the reasons I love gravel.
And over here, look at this.
Oh my gosh!
Yep, the little baby Spirea coming through.
Yeah.
Yeah, and over here too. The ajuga coming
Okay,
through the gravel
so-
is really beautiful.
And that could have I could create that. I can make that happen. But I've never seen this.
No, me either. That's
I've never seen that. That just. But then, and I could be wrong, but is this perilla?
I think it is.
Because there's not much of it. And I thought maybe some of that was even a purple basil.
So I had mentioned
Oh,
how
that- I think-
every season there is something peeking up under the gravel, and that this is when I came last year in April. This is where the muscari was peeking through the gravel, and it just felt like it came out of
Nowhere.
just from nature, from
But,
nowhere.
but you know, it seems to me like you would see that muscari foliage in here dying back.
So
So it must have already died back.
It does. It goes pretty quickly here because it's still when they're flowering, it's still volatile. The temperatures, fluctuate quite a bit. And then again, speaking about coming in April versus June versus August, you have this climbing hydrangea here in the backdrop, and what you don't notice is right in front of it is Japanese euonymus. And so
Wow.
so it's evergreen. So at least when you're in April,
Yes.
you still have the evergreen showing through. It's not an ivy. It has the body and volume of the hydrangea, but
And it's an example of romancing the ordinary,
Yes.
where you take something and you press it into service, and there's the white blooms are accented by the white variegation. And that's the other thing, the brilliant use of variegated foliage here to illuminate spaces, but be another kind of color echo. But I mean, look, just the daisies, and it's so calm.
it is. It's very peaceful.
It's just so calming here.
And this upper terrace here looks so beautiful too.
And then I was telling Krista earlier that one thing that I am so envious of is how your seasons just unfold.
They do.
And in Oklahoma they explode and then they're just over. So you really have time to appreciate the nuance of every change and just how one thing begins down here. Look, this lily, and then it goes into those lilies, and then it goes up to the yellow at the upper terrace, and the yellow here.
I think those are primrose, the yellow.
Primroses?
A form of
Okay,
evening
because
prim.
that's ain't something you're going to see very
Yeah.
much where we live. But then the subtle appreciation of just things like, and then it echoes the color of the yellow in the daisies.
Yeah.
And just the right amount of wildness. And then look, John, they've got the same threadleaf coreopsis you've got
Yes,
along
yeah.
your drive. Ooh,
Yep, and that'll
maybe
peak
you
it-
need some
yep.
of that primrose.
Yeah, to start earlier because I've been waiting for my yellow.
Okay,
Yeah.
so there you
Yeah.
go. There's a great take
It's a
it
great
home for
idea. I
you.
am. Yeah. Let me get my shovel.
Yeah, snapshot. Yeah, maybe you come back at dark at night. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh, and that's what does that say? Oh, daylilies, more of the daylilies. And the fern and everything. Now, do you know the trick about growing things in rock?
No,
Okay, so
I'd love to on the stone wall.
Okay, so here you go. If you want to start growing whatever it is in there, and it propagates by seed, you put some seed, you tuck some dirt in there, put some seed in your hand, and you go like this,
It's incredible. Yeah.
and it blows that seed into the cracks and crevices.
And that's the only way you can really get things to succeed in
to
stone.
s-
I think you have to start from
You
seed.
have-
It's very difficult
Yeah,
to try to place a
but
plant.
once you get something, it could be brilliant. Just
I'm not sure what
brilliant.
this is, but it's so beautiful. I like the reed quality to
Yep.
it.
Ooh, and I can see, now there is a version of this in an Austin garden. Basically the same shape, basically everything, but the contents are just very drought tolerant. So there would be thyme and things like that, but there would be verbascum, and there would be mullions, and there would be all of the gray things.
Lantanas as well.
It's stuff that would come up in here, but it's that you have the template of the design, and then you impose the language of your geography on it.
You can switch out the plant for a similar one for your, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
It really, it's,
yes. Wow.
an
Well,
art.
let's take a break here. And John, where are you going to lead us next?
I think we'll go down to the lower terrace here and then into the walled use.
Okay,
So,
let's do it. Okay, so now we already have to go back because John has something else he wants to show me.
So you start losing all of the restraint as you come further away. And then again, you have the Spirea here creeping through the steps, and then the anemones just give it such a really, really beautiful English garden quality to it.
And,
you know,
and
wildness.
with the appearance of spiderwort
Yes.
every once in a while.
And more of the evening prim, the yellow coming through.
And a different kind, okay.
Yeah, you get into
The green leaf spirea down here.
Yeah, the mix. It starts over this way here.
And you're right, it becomes less manicured.
Yes.
It becomes more rustic as you progress down, but the anticipation, what Krista was saying, that she and George both love the bud phase, because it's the anticipation. It's just that expectancy. Wow.
And I love the repetition. It's done so naturally.
Yeah, and I'm sure it's a lot of work, but it's done so organically. And then, like down in here, there's just, look at the tiny leaved euonymus crawling and creeping.
Yeah, in between.
And he came here, he purchased the property in, was it 72?
79?
79.
Yeah.
In 79. So even though it's been here for a while, still.
There's still a passion for it, and you can feel it. It has not gotten tired, that's for sure.
It has not gotten tired, and I'm sure it has evolved so beautifully. Sometimes gardener imposed and sometimes Mother Nature imposed, I'm sure.
Well, she was mentioning the loss of certain trees and how it's changed the light, and so, I'm sure the garden has completely changed in different areas.
Now, are you familiar with golden barberry?
I am, and I love the petite leaf on it.
I love the petite leaf, and it's one of those plants that I think really takes to hard pruning.
Yeah.
And that keeps it less prickly and soft. And for you in these parts, less tick,
Yes.
much less of a tick
It's
haven.
it can be a very invasive plant in this area. But yeah, if you keep it pruned and make sure the berries are pruned, things like that, and the birds don't get to it too quickly, you can keep it under control.
And the tiny leaved, or tiny digitalis in here, and more of this beautiful variegation.
And the beautiful lichen bench
Oh
here
my
at the end.
gosh, yeah.
This dogwood variegated again.
Yeah. Oh, and look here, just the complexity, all the variability of everything makes everything look so happy. I mean, look at the lamb's ear just appearing in there. The cotoneaster, the use of cotoneaster here is brilliant. And it's like a waterfall. And can you imagine when it all red berries and...
No, beautiful. I love the coreopsis here tucked in the gravel.
Yes.
And again, you get this perfect view here of the
Oh my
hydrangea.
gosh. And the thing is, you have to almost tell yourself, remember to look up. Remember to look up.
Actually,
There's
that's so
there's
true.
the cut leaf Spirea down there. Golden Spirea down there. And what a view. And look at this boxwood. I mean,
Incredible.
fortunately, she said no boxwood, evidence of boxwood blight here, but look at all this cotoneaster, and then you look up, and it just is amazing. And I can't even get it to start going anywhere. Now, you said at your home, the voles.
Yes. So we have it along a stone wall, and we want to grow it up the side of the house, and we couldn't figure out why it stayed at the level of the stone wall. And then we started seeing the small bite marks, and we realized it was the voles. So we've started to spray to keep them away, and it's slowly making its way up the edge of the house finally.
I mean, that is breathtaking. just breathtaking. And I'm wondering how long, I wonder, did it take to scale that?
They take their time. That's the
They
one
take
thing.
their
You know, I
time.
think ours have been in the ground for 5 years, and we haven't had them bloom yet. And they say that at least here in this area, it takes them a good 5 years of being planted before they bloom.
Really?
And,
Even here?
And this is just my own idea, but what I believe is I've noticed that it's kept its kind of lime green leaves all year, and this is the first year it's truly developing its leathery dark green leaves like that. So I have a gut feeling that it's established now, and
Yeah,
it will start
and it
flowering.
will start
For
flowering.
sure, yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much for doing this.
This is our pleasure. We're so happy to have you here.
Well, would you please introduce yourself to our audience?
I would be delighted. My name is Pamela Moffett, and I'm the executive director of the nonprofit which runs Hollister House Garden, Inc.
And give us a little bit of the history. So, the owner is George
Schulkoff.
Schulkoff.
A good German
I was wondering
name,
how to
yes.
pronounce that.
It's George Schulkoff. And George is originally from Dallas, but he came to school in Connecticut and fell in love with this part of the world. And he bought a house here in the mid-'70s, took a trip to England, was inspired by Sissinghurst, Great Dixter, and came home and said, this is what I want to do. I want to make an American interpretation of an English garden here.
Yeah.
And he started. You've seen the photograph of what this looked like.
Yes,
It was just a slope down to the brook. People always say, was this here? Was this here? And he says, none of it was here. Read my lips. None of it was here. There is actually that one apple tree up on the real terrace was here. That is the one thing that was here.
So he had such vision.
He did. He has an artist's eye. He was an antique dealer. He dealt in early American furniture. He has an MBA. He has a master's degree in art history. He says he's an artist. He paints pictures with flowers.
Yes. Well, that is evident because his use of color and light and shadow and variegation.
Yes.
And surprise.
And how many shades of green?
And how many shades of green, which is truly, to me, a color in the garden. And nothing could be in bloom and it would just still look magnificent.
A friend of George's says that he wants everything to pay the rent. So he wants it to look good all the time.
No, I think that's another great takeaway,
Yes.
is that, and particularly in difficult climates to grow in, that's any kind of real estate is precious real estate. And so if it's not going to commit to you for 4 seasons, you're not going to commit to it.
Not going to produce. I don't want it. And he says if something better comes along, that first one's moving on out.
I like that. Okay,
He can be a little heartless as a gardener.
Well,
a lovely, charming, wonderful man, but
ruthless, a little ruthless,
a little cold-hearted.
Well, I think you have to be that way when you're pruning. When you're, sometimes I think a little ruthless nature is very much in order. So explain how he has not only the vision to create this garden, but he has the vision for continued stewardship of this garden over time.
I don't know exactly what that evolution was, but he started in the late 90s, so the garden was about 20 years old, thinking about how to preserve it. And he entered into an agreement with the Garden Conservancy. So we are a preservation partner of the Garden Conservancy. We're a standalone nonprofit at this point, but he has entered into an agreement where 67% of the property is now owned by the nonprofit. On his death, it'll be 100%. And he's leaving a legacy to preserve the garden. We have an organization in place now. We have a board of directors. We have an education program.
It will be taken care of.
It will be taken care of.
And that, what a comfort.
I think what a comfort, but he also has been known to say you cannot garden from the grave. So there is a recognition that things will evolve and change, but he's put the basic structure in place, and we've had him filmed so that we have archival information. of what his vision was and his philosophy of gardening. So it
Yeah.
will stay the same but a little different.
And we are so disappointed because we had made arrangements to visit with him, and he's very sick today.
He is sick. He has no voice.
Well,
And none of
it's
us
kind of
wanna
hard
be-
to do an interview without a voice.
It is indeed. Yes, I picked up the phone and I got a croak.
A croak, and it wasn't a frog in your garden.
No, it wasn't one of the frogs.
Well, thank you so much
Thank
for
you for
taking
coming.
time. And
This has been so much fun.
yes, and
having you
again,
here.
we will put all of the appropriate links. You need to come. You need to visit this place and just experience its magic in the same way we are experiencing it on this beautiful Friday the 13th.
I know.
Okay, so John, you are our tour guide. Where are we?
We are right here at
Okay.
the horse court.
Horse Court.
Yes.
That's wonderful. That's
and
wonderful.
I think this is. She mentioned that there are hitching posts. Exactly. That are there. Yeah, they've been there.
Now, I
since
always thought hitching posts were short.
I've always seen the granite hitching posts. Personally, I've never seen the large wooden hitching posts like that. I've seen the short granite with the metal ring.
That's all I've seen,
Yeah.
or the metal hitching posts
Yeah, the
with
metals,
the
of
metal.
course,
Yeah. But okay, so this is fabulous, and look at the way. And you know what? This is a take it home with you. I can't talk. You could just use any kind of posts and put some finished out. And I've done this at my house. Put some finished lattice in between, frame it out with some finials that you encourage mossy growth on.
Yeah.
And you've got this old look.
I think it's incredible what you can do just with a finial. It can change
I
any fence,
agree.
any post, or put it on a table, and it looks so incredible.
And you can get them at Home Depot.
Yeah, Lowe's, Home Depot, anywhere.
Yeah, for just practically nothing. And it elevates the ordinary.
You can even tuck them in between your plantings, and I do that a lot actually. If you look between some of the boxwood and the hydrangeas, I put them in between so that if you happen to walk by, if you happen
see
to
it.
peek in, or if it's winter, you can see it.
Have you seen them used in bookshelves as built-in, book stops?
Yes.
And I think that's such a cool idea. But this is a different color palette in here.
It really
So
is.
what all do we have going in here?
Well, we have our barberry over here,
Okay.
and then the one thing I
And
love is you have.
repeat what Pat's Pat.
Oh, Pat said,
Pat
yeah,
said,
she said,
I'm sorry,
it's
I'm
only
getting my-
invasive because you're buying the wrong
Wrong-
kind.
right,
Yeah,
right.
the wrong variety. So he definitely knows what he's doing. But I love how we go from this lighter red and green here into the true, real dark burgundy
dark.
plums over there in the back. So, and then again, you have the taller one back here in the corner.
And they've really let it.
Yeah, they let it go wild, which I really like. You get to see what the plants do on their own,
Well,
just when properly maintained.
well, if what is that song from the Disney movie? If you cut it down, you'll never know.
Yes.
How high can a sycamore grow? If you cut
Yes.
it down, you'll never know. But what is true in that regard, the converse is true, because I have used it like this as a ground cover, where I keep it so sheared back that it almost looks a little bit like a colored boxwood, and it's tough. It can handle the heat.
Yeah.
And here they've got it growing in gravel. And look, Stuart, there's some of that same sedum I have growing on Autumn's Edge.
I just love these seedlings here popping through. It's
just-
incredible.
And they're just happy surprises.
Yeah.
And
each season has a different one, which is what's really great. Things are germinating at all times, or bulbs. Again, the muscari, and the whimsy of this
just
vessel with these
with
incredible
the balls. And are they glass?
They're glass.
They are
Yeah.
glass.
I love the oversized statement pieces. I mean, I think they can transform. Without this, it would just feel like another garden. Yeah.
Right. And it's kind of a minimalist area. It's
Yeah.
not overly planted, so each thing really shines with more of a tropical, almost a Texas vibe too here.
It does. It does. And the shrub roses give that too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And here, we
Oh,
see
and
them
some
over here.
Verbena bonariensis over there. Well,
That's interesting. I feel like that's a climber that is taking over and growing in its own way. That rose. I feel like it definitely not a shrub rose.
no, it's definitely not a shrub rose.
So,
I've
never
maybe it's a
seen one go
rambler.
wild. Yeah,
it might
it's
be a
definitely
rambler.
Yeah.
Might be a rambler. And I guess that's just Virginia creeper. Is that Virginia creeper?
I think it is.
Yeah.
It is.
And there's a certain, again, a little bit of wildness, but not too much.
And everything
not too
has,
much.
there's, everything has a perimeter, a border, and then it's allowed to go wild. So that
Yeah.
restraint is really
Yeah.
what makes it beautiful.
And the lattice is echoed over here.
Yeah.
So it just works. It
And the
just
wild
works,
onions
doesn't
here.
it? Oh, yes. And there's some tick seed coreopsis. So this is all hot colors. This
Yes.
is all hot colors, and it's kind of hot right now.
It is.
Yeah.
You brought the weather with
I
you.
brought the Oklahoma weather with me. Okay, where are we going to go next?
Let's go to the formal garden.
Okay. Okay, John, before we leave this space, here's a wonderful try this at home where you just put sticks and you create a natural tutor out of it. And look, Krista's even left all of the twigginess on it because pretty soon this vine is, I don't know what this vine is, but it's going to scale this. And in short order, this is going to be a solid,
Yeah, beautiful.
great
Green
idea.
obelisk.
Yes, turning trash into treasure. And then you were talking about this. Oh my gosh, tell us about this.
Yeah, this is actually, we talked about it earlier. I'm not sure if it was on camera or off, but that is the euonymus that's mixed in with the climbing hydrangeas. And what I love about it is when you come in April and the leaves have not come out on the hydrangea, you still have the evergreen leaves from the euonymus covering the building. So all year round you have something to look at, and the climbers and
Oh, yeah.
and they do bloom a little bit later. And I love their simple green blooms too. So
Yes.
so if you have 35 years to wait, you can do this.
And boy, what a, yeah, yes, and what a pollinator, but also how magnificent must this be with a dusting of snow on it?
Beautiful. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Well, you've seen this before, this reflecting pool and the unbelievable yew hedge beyond. And before we go down with John and really experience it up close, if you could focus, Stuart, on that archway that goes into the room we have now dubbed the Spirea room. But that's how it all connects together. And then, John, if you want to join me over here, let's talk about this formal garden and what you know about it.
Well, I have to say one thing is my favorite moment in this garden is in that little vessel there. We'll get to it.
Okay.
But it is just the lilies that they put in there. I always have to stop and look. It's something that I have to always just admire for a few minutes. And it's just the most simple thing in the garden, but it's my favorite.
Favorite thing?
Favorite thing in the entire garden.
Well, let's come down here, winding around this fabulous Japanese maple. And oh, the fragrances. Oh, and then every path, you know, you just can't stand not taking that one.
Actually, that path leads, maybe we'll shoot it later, that leads to kind of the working area where the mulch is, where the brush is
Oh,
cut.
I love those
Yeah,
areas.
yeah, yeah,
I
it's
love
right
those
back there,
areas.
so
Okay, but look,
it's where it all happens.
look at this yew hedge. And this is what I'm talking about. You can brutally prune something here and look at all that new growth coming back out. Don't let your plants boss you,
No,
because
it's a very forgiving plant, the yew, I think. So, and also the one thing about yews here is we do have to be very careful with them, because they are in the wintertime they are the deer's favorite food, and so we
Really?
on our yews, once they don't have any deciduous leaves, they go for the yews first. So that's why they're protected, and that's why we actually burlap ours on the outside and then fully spray them on the inside of the garden.
so I thought yews were poisonous.
The deer here,
They don't
they're
care.
not. No, they eat them, and they can strip. A family of deer can strip, a large segment of a yew hedge overnight. So,
Oh my gosh.
That's something that we really, really protect.
Well, I wonder what she does for deer pressure here.
I think they do have some fencing, and I know
Okay.
that we do use like the Deer Pros and Liquid Fence, all the different. We use it all.
Yeah,
we
you have
use
to
a Deer
use it
Pro
all.
on the plant itself, and then
Yeah.
we use Liquid Fence around the property. So,
Wow.
yeah, this is magical.
Oh, it
The
is-
still
it-
bees are so beautiful
Oh,
here.
and this is that incredible color.
With the heuchera, and
Oh
then again,
my gosh.
and your echo over here with the barberry is just, it's
No,
beautiful.
it's yes, and the backdrop and the laciness.
Yeah. Is that elderberry? Is that the
yes,
yeah.
the laciness of the elderberry, and then this fabulous cherry laurel, or not mountain laurel rather, behind it, and this rugosa rose over here. It just works, doesn't it?
And there's our buddy, the Spirea, over here, tucked in the corner.
Yes, yes.
Repetition.
Well, if something
Was it-
works, use more of it. Yeah, that is still bee. Boy, I wish I could
And
grow
this
it.
is a combination I've never seen together, and I would never envision it together, because
Of
when
barberry
I
and
think of Pachysandra, I think of under a tree canopy, I think shade, I think, and then when I see barberry, I think a tough plant. So to see these intertwined is again
And
something I've never seen.
I certainly recognize it, but in use I'm not that familiar with it, and I would think it got too cold here for Pachysandra.
No, it's extremely.
Is it
I think it's. I believe down to zone 4. I'm not
Okay.
sure, but
Okay.
I know here in New England it thrives.
So I very mistakenly thought of it as a southern plant. So I guess I
Here, I've seen properties where they have multiple acres, and you can go to a wooded area, and it'll continue to spread if not controlled
Yeah.
beautifully. I mean, it takes a long time. It's not a fast grower, but it will thrive on its own. For
wow,
sure.
this is just magnificent. And here's another tiny spirea, tiny leaved spirea. Wow, and look at the pollinators everywhere. Look at this, wow. Again, it's that expectance. And just this, the way things just come up and insinuate themselves.
Well, these are still they're finding their light with their leaves here because of the how covered it is. It's starting to find its way. Its own.
It
its own
will
shape.
find a way.
Yeah, its own
Life
shape.
will find a way.
Yeah.
And more variegation back here. And look, here's another
Oh.
brilliant combo you
Nestled,
wouldn't
and you'd
necessarily
never-
think of.
yeah.
And this would work in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
This would work in Oklahoma. And we're always looking for plants that can handle absolutely brutal conditions. And boy, I bet when these iris were in bloom, this was just magnificent.
This was a really great year for irises here.
Was
this past
it?
month, and no matter where I went, which garden or even on the roadside, there's a lot of wild. And on the hiking trails, there's beautiful yellow iris. I'm not sure the species, but they were everywhere. It was really beautiful.
Look.
And my favorite moment right here is this beautiful, beautiful vessel with these little.
You are
Really
such a
thanks.
poet at heart. This is a poetic moment right here.
And it's always filled perfectly to the brim.
Is there a fountain under?
No,
It looks-
I don't think
It looks
so.
like there's some metallic underneath there.
It's gravity fed.
Oh, that's right. She said that earlier. Yeah.
Got your
Wow.
tadpoles. I never noticed that before.
Yep.
Swimming across.
Cute. Boy, if you're stressed, you just come out here, have your coffee, just roam.
And again, like you were mentioning, you have to remember to look up because the perspective again of the upper terrace here and the,
is,
the eaves of the houses and the barns. It's really, really magical.
and it's, and it's the argument for coming back to a beloved garden over and over again at different seasons.
You'll never be, you can go to the same garden 10 times and it'll always be a different garden, which is, again, you'll always notice something different.
Right. Even my small garden.
Yeah. Like we were talking about how this year the alliums did not do well, but my salvia were incredible.
Yes.
And last year was the opposite.
Same with me.
Yeah.
Same with me. Look at, I love this white cleome. That's really beautiful in there.
Are these leftover peonies over here? I think so.
I think so. Just a few left.
Yeah.
And oh my goodness, okay. So Taylor and Jamie, if you are listening, that's a purple Weigela that we just planted some of. And look at what they've done with this. And some of the other purple plants in some of the composition and just how well it works. And this is tough stuff, even in Denver. Oh, look at this clematis.
That's beautiful.
Now, if you wanted to climb something like this up your pergola to be, or your something like that, I could kind of
a little more wild.
A little more wild, yeah.
And then this is a combination of the ivy and more euonymus. I love what euonymus can do here.
And the small euonymus, small-leaved euonymus. I can't believe it gets this large here.
And I believe this is the caradona. I actually have the caradona in my perennial garden, and what I love is it's just like most purple salvias, but your stems are dark purple. So it adds a little bit to it to me. Because I can tell which is which when they're starting to sprout.
I need to send you some seeds of some of the different, I have so many different varieties, and East Friesland for me has done the best. Nice. I mean, it's the most, but this one, you're right. It's got that purple stem, which makes it, look at these anemones over here.
And the hostas.
And the hostas.
I love the lime, the bright green of the hosta with the fine needles of the, it's perfect.
Absolutely. That kind of sage green. And I guess this is all tall phlox.
I think it is.
And I bet it's David. I bet it's white.
What's it called? Is that gomphrena? I thought it was afar. I thought it was.
Well, this is Verbena Bernariensis, but this is something different. You know what this is? This is a scabiosa.
Oh, it is a scabiosa.
Look at that, because it's got that very distinctive. I haven't either. I wonder what variety that is. I need some of that. That hovering mixed in with the verbena is spectacular.
Yeah, typically I have the more lavender tones that are lower and kind of spill over, but this is really,
I've got lots of the,
this could give you a lot of height variety with the verbena.
And I love these hoverers that hover above the plane of everything else.
And is this a fennel here?
Yeah. Looks,
the color's interesting to me. I hadn't seen it. I don't know if it's dry or if it's just a variety. But.
That looks like a little tiny bell of Ireland. I don't know what it is, but it looks...
As you can see, I'm a water person. Here's another favorite moment for me.
Oh, yes.
The lily pads are always so fun. And the violets coming through.
And I love this right here. Very simple, nothing but dianthus in these circles. And it's got a, I don't know, kind of like a pre-Columbian or some kind of a nod to the past. Like it was some kind of artifact from way back. And the chocolate little violas that have seeded in here. How adorable is that? I love the use of color here. Love it, love it.
Not afraid, and they do it so well.
And even that purple is in.
Yes. And your green and your purple really is beautiful.
But I can tell that slowly oranges are starting to come out. Very slowly. Oh my gosh, look at this rose over here. Wow. And is this Hesperus matronellus? Is this Dane's rocket?
Sure.
I don't think it is.
No, we have a lot of Dame's Rocket here on
Okay.
the roadside. We have that dark magenta and then the white and then a pale lavender. But that almost has a Dame's Rocket meets phlox quality to it.
Yeah, okay, here's our
Yeah.
question of the day. What is this? And it also has a dianthus-looking flower.
It does.
So look at this.
With the daisies.
Oh my gosh.
Got a really busy little guy in here.
You know, if you have a
Lots to do.
if you have a huge property and you want to plant for security, a rugosa rose is the way to go, because
go.
ain't nobody going to want to climb through that or over
Yeah.
that. Oh, look, that's it. Look at the little blue flower. That's what it's going to do. How dear. Oh, and look down here.
What I love how it's about the layout is how they let you access everything you want to see. They think about like, oh, someone might want to get up close to the water. Let's
Let's
build
put
a
in
path.
some massive
Yes.
stone steps so
Yeah.
that they can do just that. Oh my word.
And then the contrast to the completely natural landscape here I feel is just
It is stunning. How many times have we said stunning? Or have I said stunning?
Me too.
Yeah, yeah.
Stunning and
sometimes
magical.
magical and yeah. And just the sounds, you know,
The water, the birds.
water. So this reminds me,
Did you see this bloom here?
yeah, look at this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at that.
Incredible.
But these leaves remind me of skunk cabbage that Native Americans used to use as diapers.
We have a lot of that here too. On our brook at certain years, not every year, certain years we along the brook side we get a lot. Queen Anne's lace.
Yes, Queen Anne's lace in there.
A little more color here.
And then it's just the fact that here you can mix so many fern in with
Look at
things.
this, a viburnum.
A viburnum, yes.
Big guy
Oh, it's
here.
a double file.
Yeah, it is. Look
It's
how
a
tall that
double
is.
file. Yours is almost this big. Oh, when this was in bloom.
Mm-hmm.
I think viburnums are one of the most underused categories of plants.
We use them a lot here in the Northeast. I think every garden I go to, everywhere, I see them quite a bit.
Yeah.
And we get ours rather large already from a grower that does only larger shrubs. They don't sell annuals or flowers. They strictly do trees and shrubs. And that's one of their most. That's what they sell the most of is viburnums.
All of these dogwoods just make me swoon.
And then this expansive
And then
view
this
here.
expansive lawn. I feel, did you bring those croquet?
Yeah.
That croquet
They're
set?
in the back of the car.
Because I could imagine, can't you just imagine a wedding reception
I can
or
see the
something?
tables.
Yeah.
The lanterns, the candles.
The light at night, And then look up there.
And the hill behind too.
Oh my
There's just so
gosh.
many levels. The topography here is really, and it kind of mirrors. You get the height of the house here, and you get the height of the hill here, and you
And
really
you
feel,
just feel like you're in this
Yeah.
little valley in here
totally.
with that brilliant barn over there.
I think there's an art class, she said, going on.
Yeah,
they have
yeah.
community classes, so I think there's actually floral painting.
Oh, wow.
I think that's what they're
So
doing
if
today.
you're in the area, you'll want to check that out.
And again, what we're talking about to Pam earlier, the milkweed framing that.
Oh, yes.
How it's used almost as a bit of a border, and it's you'd never think to use it that way.
And I love the color of the foliage. I just love that blue-green, bluish, grayish green.
It's one of my favorites. There's the catmint and the nepeta over here.
And
That does really well.
Molligelia.
Ours we have to divide soon. It grows so well here
Yeah.
that probably every 2 years it gets to the point where it's so large that it just immediately splits in the middle. So we have to dig
Is
them out.
it Walker's
split them.
Low?
Yes. But I wish, I'm happy with it. I just, I wish I would have maybe gone with a smaller cat's pajama, something that stays a little bit more
Yeah.
compact because they do really love
Yeah.
it here and they get enormous. So you do have to keep dividing every few years.
Yeah, I've got something called Azure Pearl or something like that, and it's much smaller. And mine after it blooms or whatever, I just whacked it all the way back, just completely back, because it does have a tendency to get spider mite.
Yeah.
And so I can get more bloom and.
Yeah, that's another thing. I was a little nervous when we first put them in to really cut them back, but I realized you
They
will
like
get the
it.
best out of it. You know, you will have that
Yes.
first flush, and then if you aren't shy and you just cut all the way back, 2 weeks later you have it again.
So interesting, the color here versus the color in, say, Santa Fe and the color in Oklahoma of the flower. It could be the same variety, but the color is completely of the bloom is completely different from one geography
These
to the
definitely
next.
are really leaning very blue.
Okay, I have to ask. First of all, what was your major try this at home for your garden?
For me, I really do want to attempt with my climbing hydrangeas to mix in the euonymus.
Okay.
That way I can really, any kind of areas I want to hide, both in winter and in summer, I can have year-round coverage. So I think that's going to be one of the things that we'll be doing as soon as we get our pergola up.
Okay.
Is really training the climbing hydrangea, and then I'm going to quickly get some euonymus to get started. So,
yeah, quickly.
Yeah.
Because we
Takes
ain't
a while.
getting any younger.
Yeah.
We ain't getting any younger.
Yeah.
There were so many wonderful try this at home. I think getting a Spirea to grow in gravel like that and in between the treads and the rise
seen it.
of the steps, I think that was absolutely magical. And for me personally, I want to try this at home as I want to research where that really tall scabiosa comes from, because I want some of that to intermingle with the Verbena bonariensis. What did you guys take away? What was your favorite takeaway? If you need to, I know it's kind of overwhelming, go back, watch it again with a notepad, because there is just so much to see in such a breathtakingly beautiful garden. And I can't thank you enough for arranging all of this.
Of course.
And everything to come, because you've just been such an impeccable host, and we appreciate it. All the information for how you visit events, what's going on at different times of year, all of that can be found on their website, and we will put a link right here to their website. They would love to have you come and visit. So I say now, we just get our Zen on and take a moment and listen to the birds
Chill out for a bit.
and in the shade.
Yeah.